Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Today, inshallah, I will make an exception. My plan was to finish the refutation series of J. Smith and then move to different topics. But this time, I'm going to make one exception. I will respond to a video uploaded by the cross-dresser himself, David Wood. David Wood made a response video to Yasir Qadhi, who accused him of being vulgar, vile, etc., etc. All negative words in the world will never be enough to describe the cross-dresser David Wood. In response to Yasir Qadhi, David used one of his typical stupid tactic. Muhammad did this, Muhammad did that. Each time you criticize David for being an evil, immoral individual, he will dismiss all that simply by saying, Muhammad did this, Muhammad did that.
But if you, Fareed, believe that it's a hate crime, you've got a problem because you just accused your own prophet of committing countless hate crimes.
What's the tactic? Take any hadith about the Prophet of Islam at face value and draw the most negative conclusion. And don't give any consideration about how Muslim scholars explains this hadith. So Yasir Qadhi describes David as being vile and vulgar among other things. How did David respond? Muhammad also said this. Muhammad said that.
I have rarely come across somebody who is more vulgar, vile, foul-mouthed, noxious, repugnant, depraved excuse of a preacher. Whatever he is, David Wood, it is obvious to any person of faith, is not a man of God. Nobody who has an iota of humility in front of his Creator, nobody who wishes to claim to follow any prophet of God would ever be so vulgar as this particular individual.
Is that Dr. Qadhi has declared that we can completely dismiss his prophet and his religion due to the disgusting behavior of his prophet. I'm vulgar, so I'm not a man of God. But notice, if I married a prepubescent girl, took the wife of my own adopted son, bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves, had sex with my slave girls, and allowed my followers to beat their wives into submission, rape their female captives, and hire prostitutes, I'd be the greatest man of God who ever lived. Welcome to the perfectly functioning moral compass of Sheikh Yasir Qadhi. But Dr. Qadhi made one of his famous Qadhi blunders. He made a rule. Recall what he said.
Nobody who has an iota of humility in front of his Creator, nobody who wishes to claim to follow any prophet of God would ever be so vulgar as this particular individual.
No man of God would ever speak in such a vulgar fashion. Based on the authority of Dr. Qadhi, we can now conclude that Muhammad and his companions were not men of God. Dr. Qadhi is aware of the hadiths where Muhammad ordered his followers to tell certain people to go and bite their fathers' penises. According to Sheikh Yasir Qadhi, anyone who uses the sort of language I use cannot be a man of God. But Muhammad and his companions used language that's far more disgusting than anything I would say. Hence, Muhammad and his companions were not men of God.
And you know what? I don't have a problem with this standard if you are going to apply it across the board. That's when you are consistent. And David Wood is anything but a consistent man. So let's apply the same standard. Muhammad did this. If you criticize me, you are debunking your own religion. Let's take this analogy. Imagine, God forbids, a man raped a family member of David Wood. God forbids. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them and guide them. David Wood went to the police station to report that criminal, and he told the police officer, "You have to go and arrest that criminal. He has raped this woman. He must be arrested." That policeman looked at David and said, Why do you call him a criminal? By calling him a criminal, you are debunking your own religion, because your God, Jesus, in the Bible, commanded the Israelites to rape women. So if you report him to the police station, you are debunking your own religion. Which is it? Imagine how ridiculous that response by the policeman would be. But for David, I'm afraid it's a very rational response, because that's what he's doing whenever someone criticizes his immoral behaviors. He always points to the Prophet of Islam and says, "Ha! Muhammad did it! If you criticize me, then you are debunking your own Prophet." And let me tell you, if we apply this standard, David Wood will never be able to call any individual a criminal at all. Let's take another example. If someone burned his daughter as a sacrifice to his God, and David looked at him and said, "You are a criminal. How could you do this? This is outrageous." And the man looked at David and said, "Aha! You have now debunked your own religion. Because in your Bible, there are stories of human sacrifice." Let's take another example. David Wood made a video about ISIS calling them criminals. An ISIS member contacted David and said, "Why do you call me a criminal? By calling me a criminal, you are debunking your own religion." Let's take another example. If someone slaughtered a baby, David called him a criminal. But then the man looked at David and said, "Aha! You call me a criminal. You are debunking your own religion, because your God commanded people to slaughter babies. Thank you for debunking your own religion." And David was like,
You're pathetic.
I'm going to, mimic David's style when he plays the Muslim response. No, that's in the Old Testament." I don't care if it was in the Old Testament. It is still Jesus, the God of the Old Testament. No, but you have to look at the New Testament. We have a new covenant. I don't care. Did your God command these things? Yeah, but God has a right to command these things. Aha! God has the right to command these things. Okay. No, you have to put it into context. You're taking it out of context. Aha! Now we have to put things into context. But with the Islamic sources, no context is needed. Remember the rule, Mr. Crossdresser. Take things at face value. That's it. We have to find a verse in the Bible and then apply the Muhammad did this, Muhammad did that. That means if we apply this rule that David Wood is using to dismiss any criticism of his immoral behavior, there will be no criminals in this world. Everyone will be justified, because you can always draw a page. You can always bring a quote from the Bible which justifies the murder, the rape, thieving, every immoral act. By the way, I know that David Wood's fans who are watching this video would say, "Well, if David watches this video, he is going to destroy this idiot. David is great. No one can defeat David." Well, let me disappoint you. David will never respond to this. Actually, David was confronted with his hypocrisy many times in debates, in video responses. He never responded. And the only response you can get from David Wood are responses like these ones.
Oh, it's actually similar. If Jesus is the God who inspired the Old Testament, why did he command Moses and Joshua to kill women and children? Why did he command that? And when is the killing of children morally justifiable?
Well, I think that's a good question. I'm not sure I could answer it in 3 minutes, and nor can I say that this is the official Christian position. I can say what we're dealing with, though. As far as issues like this bothering me, I think you and I are different. You look at all of these issues I bring up and it's just a smokescreen, this is just ridiculous, this is no objection at all. And I'm looking at it and going, whoa, this is wild. But I'm like that with the Bible too. I'm like that with the Bible. I will say right now, there are tons of things in the Bible that really, really bother me. And the difference is, I think that Christianity can actually deal with these problems. I don't think that Islam can. And I think people have seen that tonight because you've had an opportunity to answer and you keep pointing the finger at Christianity. As far as Jesus being the God of the Old Testament, here's the data we have. One, lots of really bad things in the Old Testament. And then two, Jesus coming along and saying, you have heard that it was said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, Old Testament. But now I tell you, love your neighbor, turn your other cheek, things of this nature.
Would have been good, but you actually said it's bad. There are lots of bad, these are your words, there are lots of bad things in the Old Testament. Now, if Jesus is God, and he's the author of the Old Testament, and he has bad injunctions, how can you reconcile the fact that God, a maximally perfect good being, could give us bad injunctions?
Dr. Wood, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't recall saying bad things. I'll have to take a look at the clip.
Here's the data we have. One, lots of really bad things in the Old Testament.
I did acknowledge that I said there are all sorts of things in the Bible that bother me. I do recall saying that. And what I mean by that is, I'm a philosopher, I'm a former atheist. And this would go for the Qur'an as well, when things passages talking about hell or something like that, eternal torment, or warfare or something like that, well, those things bother me. That doesn't mean I reject that they're from God. I say, okay, those are I've noticed a mindset in Islam that if you accept Islam, you can never really think critically about it. And I can't be like that. So I'm always wrestling with issues, Old Testament and New Testament, and with the Quran as well. So as far as the moral case, if we're talking about Old Testament passages, looking at those things, yeah, I would say these things. The
1 minute left.
Entering the land of Canaan and fighting the Canaanites and so on. Those things, they make me wonder sometimes. But if you believe that Jesus rose from the dead, then you have to say, okay, if Jesus rose from the dead, then if I'm going to listen to anyone tell me about God, I'm going to listen to Jesus. And so if he's Lord, then hey, if something bothers me, that's my problem. Right? That's my problem. That's something I have to wrestle with. God accepts that we have to wrestle with things. The Psalms are filled with people really, really wondering why certain things are happening. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And I don't think God thinks it's a bad thing when we look at something and go, that's really rough. Now I really want to think about that. So I don't see that as any big problem if something bothers me, but I'm convinced that I have good reasons to believe in Christianity, then
10 seconds.
I don't really see the problem. And that's why I would still accept it, because Jesus rose from the dead.
Don't get excited. He will never respond. This is the stupidity of David's argument. It can only work in his echo chamber. Once he gets out of this bubble, he cannot make these arguments. So you have to accept it. David Wood is a joke, a clown. His argument only works in his YouTube channel. Once he gets out and go and debate and get confronted by the morality of the Bible, of the Old Testament, he can't answer. He can't give you a good answer. By that stupid standard that David Wood set, he can never criticize murderers, rapists, thieves, baby killers. He cannot even criticize Hitler. He cannot criticize ISIS. He can criticize no one. By criticizing any criminal in the world, David has debunked his own religion. I'm not being unfair to David. I'm just using this. Muhammad did this. Muhammad did that. If you criticize me, then you have debunked your own prophet. I don't agree with this standard, of course. It's insane, but this is the standard that David set. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Loser. Loser.